Hello, everyone. Welcome. So, today is the fifth and final day of our 5-day series, and it has actually been a lot of fun to be live and talking with everyone and getting your feedback. And so, today we're talking about my favorite part and actually my segue into real estate, which was I was working with buyers. And a lot of people, and I'm sure you can relate and you can definitely comment if you do, a lot of people say their fear is they get it under contract. They're not even worried about that all the time, but then they get to a point where they can't sell it. And what do they do if they have to back out and all of that? So, something that really, I'm going to give you a few tips here, but what's really important here to understand is buyers. Buyers are where you need to put your most of your personal touches in. The reason I say that is when you work with sellers, you may work with them one, two, or three times, but buyers, that's where your money is as a wholesaler. Those are the people you need to nurture and talk to and build a relationship with because you're going to work with them time and time and time again. So the reason that I love working with buyers is because I actually build a relationship that once a deal closes, it's not like I never talk to them again. We will have you could do the Christmas parties. Laura said she used to throw a lot of Christmas parties and things like that, send gifts. And even during COVID, I would send newsletters that just kept them in the game where they ended up making a ton of money off of me. Now, moving into where people have their biggest fears, and I want to keep this short enough, is they worry they cannot sell. So they worry they get these deals under contract. These are a lot of what I talk to ladies. What if I can't sell? Now, in my opinion, it's easier to sell than to get it under the original contract, right? In my opinion, if you run your numbers right and you have the right contingencies and you put it under contract and it's someone who's motivated, then it's easy to sell. It's easy to get it taken care of and find buyers. Even if you don't have any buyers to begin with, I tell people all the time. Now, I'm going to give you my top 3 ways of finding buyers. And then, students, you have the list of 10. But I'm going to give 3 foolproof ways. These are like the ways that I can almost guarantee my students haven't done it if they didn't do these ways and they're not having issues selling outside of it's overpriced, which is one issue. 2, they haven't done these ways. So, the very first one that I recommend is finding cash buyers who have already bought in the area similar properties of what you're buying and asking if they are interested in buying again. My favorite one, though, is when I see that someone listed over and over and over again. When I see them listed over and over as a buyer and cash, they're most likely another investor, that are buying rehab projects or landlords. And that is just a foolproof way that I have been able to sell. So, like, for example, even now, like, I have a very hot buyers list, but I've been in the market in the beginning when I started, or even now with the students, I'll say, well, did you pull a list? And then they'll call and they're going to find it out. It's amazing. The second way is social media, like Facebook Marketplace. People don't realize I found my number one buyer in St. Pete in Facebook Marketplace, right? So that still works. And when I talk to students too, I'm like, where are you finding it? They're like Facebook Marketplace, some of them. You have to vet through a lot. I know personally for me, whenever I post on Marketplace, even like in the last week, I get a lot of spammers, a lot of people who are, I have to vet through and talk to and things like that. And so that can be a little bit of a headache, but I also have found some of my best buyers through there, right? So they're looking for properties. Now, the third one, I'm going to switch out from what I normally say because I find this is working more and more, and I see it with the students too, is networking events. Now, this doesn't work great if you are doing this completely virtual, but if you can make it to a local networking event in the area your properties are. So, like, for example, I do St. Louis and St. Pete. I don't live there. But when I'm in town, I do go to local events. I do drive for dollars. I do those things because I know how important it is to get there. And cash buyers go there because they're looking for properties at a wholesale discount, right? And so these 3 ways have been foolproof ways. And any of my students can attest that if they do any of these 3, that they almost are likely to guarantee that they'll get it sold. Like I said, the only way they will not get something sold, if they're doing even the 3 out of the 10 that I give the students, it's because it's overpriced. And that we talked about that the other day. So if you did not watch that, you can go watch that. But buyers are so crucial. And if you can eliminate that fear of being able to find a buyer, and you start doing these steps and you start seeing the traction, you're going to get to a point where you can sell. Probably took me about 3 to 4 years, but I was able to sell within an hour, putting deals under contract. Obviously, it takes my students a lot quicker because I can teach them. But for me, kind of learning how to build this list virtually, building relationships and stuff, I am now able, within an hour of having, sometimes before I even get the deal under contract, it's all of a sudden, boom, it's sold because I have built a buyer's list. But most of you are not there to that point yet. So we don't need to jump there. But that's one of the things I love about buyers. So to reiterate, we have social media, we have people who have already bought, and we have networking events. And Laura comes in. Do you want to talk anything else on buyers that maybe could help them?
Well, ask me a question. I don't know what you talked about, so maybe.
What is one? We talk about the common fear that they can't sell their property.
Okay.
Why do you think that is such a big fear? Especially if they have the contingencies in place. Why do you think people paralyze? Because even I paralyzed my first deal. Right. So why do you think they paralyze instead of pushing through?
I think it goes back to the fact that you have a property under contract, right? And you're afraid or fearful of what you're going to go back to the owner and say, in case you have to, even if you have the loophole in the contract, or to back out of the deal or renegotiate with them. Nobody wants to really have a confrontation, right? So I think that's the main thing, because I think that if you had a contract where the owner, that is going to be okay with it, and he's going to wait 3 months, 6 months, whatever it takes to sell it, they're not going to be worried about it, right? Because you just market the property, and eventually, I always say that for every deal, there is a buyer out there.
There is.
So
even the fire properties.
Yeah, even murder houses.
Yeah, a story for another day.
Yeah, I share a story sometime of this house about was a murder house. But anyway, so what I'm saying to you, I think that's the fear, because we know that time is of the essence. We are, clock is ticking. And what happens if I don't find a buyer and I'm stuck, quote unquote, with a deal? Mm-hmm. So how do you help out of that? How do you do that? It goes back to when you get the property under contract, to establish a very good relationship with the seller, to be fully transparent and say, okay, so we have this contract, and obviously they know you're not buying it to live in it, most cases, right? So I'm an investor. I work with other investors. I work with private lenders. And I'm on a contract. I'm going to definitely try to do the best to close by X date. However, I want to let you know that, I am not the only one here in this transaction that also rely on other people, lenders and other things. So, if there is some way that we might have to negotiate, are you okay with that? Are you open to that if the comes? I kind of get the feeling for that, right? You kind of get the feeling. You can see body language or how they talk to you, if it's okay or not. But that's what they do. And they will relax you a little bit to know, like, there'll be situation, Liz can attest to that, where she had the seller say, yeah, don't worry about it. It was that deal that was 6 months.
6 months of close.
Yeah. And I had so many situations that it's like, whatever, I'm fine with that. So, but it all goes back to the beginning.
And building relationships. So hey Susie, nice to see you. So we just wanted to kind of touch. I wanted to keep this short so that anyone that's watching the replay kind of gets the right to the point information. And this week we're doing, we have launched our Fast Track Wholesaling program. This program is literally just a culmination of all the steps into wholesaling. We have a pre-sale discount of $1,000 off. It's in the description of wherever you're watching. But this program is open. The pre-sale is good till Monday night. And this teaches you how to succeed. But not just that, what you need to do to reach whatever goals you have as quick as possible, to transform your life from, even if it's maybe not that bad right now, to a lot better. One of the things I love to say is I'm not looking for a good life. I'm looking for a great life. And what wholesaling has done for me and for her is completely transformed our life. I mean, right now we're on the way to my youngest sister's graduation from She double majored and minored, and she's graduating debt free because Laura did real estate to pay her bills, her tuition, and her dorm rate at which is 75K a year. And we talk about it because we whenever we need a good chunk of money like that outside of like the normal and rise and grind, we just go do a wholesale deal. And so one of the things that this program will do is, one, we made it affordable for everyone. There's Affirm, there's Klarna at checkout if you can't pay cash yourself. So it's super affordable, but it creates a life very quickly for you. I have a student we were talking to yesterday, Emily, who said, I have so many deals right now, I don't know what to do with. She's wholesaling. We have another student that is like working on like 6 contracts, other students putting out 3 contracts a day, wholesale contracts.
Yep. Yeah. And so the other thing is that we're offering, and this is only until for 3 more days until Monday, right? Monday midnight is $1,000 off. On top of being affordable, you're $1,000 off. You want to give me what the checkout code is?
Yeah, so the checkout code,
put in the description probably.
Team put in the description. I think it's FTW 1000, but I'll make sure the team puts it in there. But like I said, you can put that code in, and then if you don't have the pure cash, we do have other options, or there is a payment plan. If you do pay for lifetime, though, you'll get, or if you pay in full, you'll get lifetime access, and you'll also get a one-on-one game plan with either Laura or Maria. And what they do is she's one of our coaches, is they're going to figure out what your goals are, and then they're going to create your plan to reach it as fast as possible. I have students in my program right now, I can show testimonial after testimonial, who have been with us 4 weeks, deals under contract. They wrote that. 5 weeks, deals under contract. One said, I'm just going to challenge Liz and do everything she said to do. And I closed the deal in February, and I joined end of December. Closed, like went to closing, cash your check. So this is the same stuff I'm teaching them, I'm teaching you.
Yeah. So like I said, there is no excuse here to do it. And now let me say one thing, a couple of things here. Wholesaling, this is the best time to do it.
It really
when
is.
When 2007 happened, we had a huge housing crisis. Everybody else that was doing fix and flip, they went out there, were doing buying rentals, selling rentals. They all quit doing that. They all went into wholesaling. Why? And I heard that from a coach, actually. I remind Elizabeth morning, she said, you kept saying that all the time. So she told me to stop saying that. So I'm going to tell you that today, though.
She said, now it's necessary. I feel like we're in a Titanic zone, okay?
Okay. So, the analogy is this. When Titanic was sinking, right? If you were there trying to sell people tickets for the next transatlantic passage, would they have bought as they were sinking? No. If you were there selling lifeboats, would they have bought? They would have come up with any money, anything they could to do it. So this is right now is your lifeboat, guys. So, whatever you say, that I have to do this investment or learn of this, this is your lifeboat. Mm-hmm. This is just a mean to get you to really, go back to safe zone, go back to land and move on with your life, have more money, quit your job, whatever your dreams are.
Beat inflation. I know a lot of the women I talk to, they just are like, I don't want to have to worry if I can feed my family anymore. It's so frustrating for them. And so they're like, I have ladies in tears every call I do lately because they're like, you're just giving us this hope. And it's not even that. You're willing to show us how to get there. And they're getting there. Like a lot of our women, I mean, it's win after win after win. They're getting there, and that's really awesome to see.
Yeah, and
we're not worried.
They posted the code, which is FTW 1000.
So I was right.
The other thing that I'm giving you here, and it's very limited, we just opened this today, is the 12 spots for the game plan. We can't offer it for everybody joining in the next few days. So once we do the 12 filled out, it's all I can take. Let me tell you about this, how important it is. Liz yesterday said she saw me talking to the student who was exercising. She actually works with us. To me, to be able to talk to her and tell her what to do because she has too many leads and she's overwhelmed and she doesn't know where to turn. And she says it's a good thing, but I also have a family life. And I told her exactly what to do and how to separate and how to prioritize and all that. Yeah. This is the type of things that you need to hear. And what I'll do is we're going to go over the checklist together during the game plan call. And I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do the first 4 weeks so you can close the deal. And that deal will, if you do this right, that deal will pay off for the credit card that you're going to use to join this before your bill even comes due or when it's due.
Well, like I said,
and several times over, by the way.
We made it affordable. This is a program that's made affordable. It comes with a group coaching call. It comes with weekly calls with me, mindset. Like, we made it to where that you guys could really, anyone could join and make it work. And we also added Affirm and Klarna to make it even easier to get the payments even smaller if that's something that needs to do. But like I said, it's closing that pre-sale soon, and then it will be normal for the next few days after that.
Yeah, great. Well, just go check out the page, and there will be a lot more information what the program includes, and some amazing case studies of people that have used the information. And I hope to see you there.
Yeah, and just remember, it's not even just about the training; it's what's going to happen for you and your family through it. And that's what I'm seeing more and more lately for the women. And if you go into the Facebook, you'll see a post that really just made us both cry yesterday of how much she values us and how she's going elsewhere and people are taking forever. And she's like, that's not me because of my mentorship and the coaches I have that have my back. And that just, today's already emotional because of Hannah's graduation, but it made us really happy. So anyway, we're going to jump off. We have to head actually down to Miami for the graduation. But I hope that today's info was helpful on buyers. And if you have any questions, just reach out. Me or my team would be happy to help you. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, bye, everybody. Bye.